Hello guys, Link9US here again. I'm ready to provide another one of my commentary playthroughs, so try and follow along. If you have any questions or personal opinions, leave them on the comments below and vote on my videos. And if you like my channel, subscribe. I'm going to start with a brief plot outline. Final Fantasy VII follows the protagonist Cloud Strife, who initially joins the eco-terrorist rebel organization Avalanche to stop the world-controlling Mako Corporation Shinra, who are draining the life of the planet for use as an energy source. As the story progresses, Cloud and his allies become involved in a larger world-threatening conflict, faced off against Sephiroth, the game's main antagonist. Progression through the game's storyline is largely developed by way of scripted sequences. This is the first game in the franchise to include pre-rendered cinematic cutscenes. Final Fantasy VII is also the first game in the series to have character models with fully rendered polygons rather than 2D sprites like in previous entries. As most of you probably know, about Final Fantasy VII become known to the world as a huge critically acclaimed success amongst the JRPG genre. It was the best known selling title in the franchise at its time of announcement and was praised for its graphics, gameplay, music, and story. Yoshinori Kitase directed an amazing experience of a role-playing game, giving you refreshing content that will keep you entertained for hours. And the story was such a huge success that it spanned multiple spin-off titles from the same name. Nobuo Uematsu has provided absolutely amazing soundtracks within the game. It has, in retrospect, been accredited as the game that propagated the Japanese role-playing video game style outside of its home market. This is absolutely a must-play for any fan of RPGs that didn't like the old-school mechanics of the previous games. Many of the technology advances and graphics shown in this game has revolutionized many role-playing games and was single-handedly responsible for creating such a niche genre outside of Japan to become a huge worldwide success, and one of the greatest achievements ever in the gaming industry. If you have not played this game yet, do yourself a favor and go download it off of PSN right now. I strongly recommend this, or hopefully you can find a copy if you have a PlayStation. Since the PSN release date of this game, the price has significantly dropped on the market, so it shouldn't be too hard to pick up, despite what the haters say. If you're an RPG fan, you can't go wrong with Final Fantasy VII. So let's get started. This video will just focus on the very first mission in Midgar, which is the Mako Reactor 1. Keep in mind that most of my introductory videos are going to be much shorter than later videos in my playthrough. I plan on uploading videos in the range of 45 minutes to an hour. Okay, now as you can see here, this is the opening cutscene to Final Fantasy VII. It was actually the first pre-rendered 3D cinematic graphic in the Final Fantasy series. In a way, when I first got my hands on this video game, it was like buying a Blu-ray player and experiencing Blu-ray quality. To me, it was just really groundbreaking. And taking into account its time of production, it was probably one of the most graphically enhanced RPGs of its time, and also became the building blocks for many Japanese role-playing games that followed, particularly the Final Fantasy franchise. The girl you see here plays a very vital role in the entire story. Her name is actually Eris, for those of you who do not know, which probably most of you do know. I just love this shot where the camera just pans out and shows the entire city of Midgar. It's just absolutely brilliant. And then you see the title, Final Fantasy VII, with the amazing soundtrack in the background. It's just awesome. Nobuo Uematsu is just really a legendary composer. All of his soundtracks and music are just amazing to listen to. And then the camera zooms back into the city and shows the train where you meet your main protagonist. And there he is, Cloud Strife, who happens to be a former first-class soldier. Now the man lying next to the train has 2 potions, so be sure to pick those up. Here's where we enter our first battle, and right off the bat you can see the major difference in 3D dimensional polygons and how the camera angles in various ways depending upon what skill you use. And my first strike was actually a critical strike, that's why I had a different sound effect to it. Yeah, for these soldiers, they are extremely easy to kill, so all you really have to do is just attack. Just a single strike will kill them in one hit. And this is your level up screen, pretty standard for role-playing games. You just receive EXP, money, item drops from the enemy. As you get more EXP, you level up. I will go more in depth later on for the internal mechanics of the game and the materia system in another video. And this is where you're meeting your group for the first time, and you also meet your second party member, which is Barrett, or Bart, however you want to say it. I always use the default names, so that's how I play games. Your actual mission here is to actually infiltrate one of the reactors in Midgar and blow up the reactors. It's a pretty straightforward mission. But I will walk you through some of the basic mechanics and tutorials in the start of the game. Just for the purpose of this commentary. Now we're entering the second battle. Now the dogs are a little bit tougher, but not too much, so like any magic spell like ice or thunder will take care of them pretty easily. So in this case I just used ice. Now we're actually entering the core of the reactor. Now that little guy behind there actually has a spell called Fire, so usually you want to take him out first before the soldiers. But he doesn't do much damage otherwise. Now this is where you have to open the doors to access the elevator to progress further. Now some people actually miss an item in here, and I'll show you about that in a little bit. Now if you look closely, there's a glowing chest at the bottom down here, right at the corner of the screen, which contains a phoenix down, which heals one of your party members from death. So it's a pretty important item to have. There really isn't that many in-depth strategies to talk about here. Most of this is very straightforward. I will talk a bit about how to defeat the first boss though, which is pretty easy anyways, when we get there. Most of the game involves dialogue cutscenes like this that tell the story. Now this enemy is actually a mechanical robot, which means they are weak against thunder type magic. So if you use thunder, you can kill them easily. Also, you have Bard on your team this time, so the battle should go a lot quicker. We're getting closer to the end, yeah. This is where you learn how to use the, directional buttons and the OK button, which is the X button, or I mean the O button. Learn how to interact with things. Like climbing ladders and climbing poles and whatnot. These guys actually put out a little bit higher damage output, but they're still not difficult to kill. This is where you can actually save your game for the first time, which means usually that a boss is just right around the corner. Now if you'll notice here, I had to actually set my internal memory card slot on my PS3 so I can save my game. I actually didn't have it set for some reason. I am actually recording this game from the PS3. I do have the original game, but I chose to record it from my PlayStation 3. And across the bridge is where the Mako Reactor core is. And we're finally there. Now this shiny thing on the ground is actually a materia that I was referring to before. Materia is basically used as a means of equipping like skills for your characters and you can also level up certain materia in the game. I will go far more in depth about that at a later time though. Now setting the bomb actually triggers an alarm, and then you have to face your first boss battle. Now this boss is more like a mini boss, not really a major boss. You will also be introduced to limit breaks in this battle, which are key skills that build up over time, either from attack or being attacked. They do extra damage. They're probably the strongest skills you have, or they actually are the strongest skills you have in your arsenal at this point in the game. The primary strategy of winning this battle is just to use Thunder with Cloud and attack with Barret. Whenever you get the chance, and when the limit breaks become available, just do an all-out assault. It is actually possible to defeat this guy without even being hit once if you're really quick. But I actually wanted to show what kind of skills he uses. Just for the purpose of the commentary. So pay close attention to his tail. When his tail is up in the air like this, you do not want to attack, because he will counterattack with a pretty strong laser skill, and just 2 of those can easily just kill one of your party members or even spell game over. But it's common sense to not attack during this phase. But I broke the rules specifically for this video, so if my Cloud did not defend there, he would have died on the next attack. Because he defended, the damage was nullified a bit. Using defensive tactics is key to winning battles later in the future. So basically the order of winning this battle is just never attack when his tail is up, and just keep using Thunder, regular attacks, and limit breaks when they become available, and he will go down in a flash. He's only the first boss, so he's pretty easy to kill. Now the spoils you receive from this battle is the assault gun, so you'll want to equip that on Barret as soon as you can, so you can increase his damage output. I didn't actually equip it until a few battles later, but you want to equip it right away. This next section may seem intimidating because you're timed and you have to escape the entire area in less than 10 minutes. But it's actually really easy. The game gives you plenty of time to escape. You can actually fight all the battles without running and still make it in time. This battle actually has the strongest enemy in the area, which is that machine in the middle. But he has a huge weakness, just like the other mechanical enemy. You just use any lightning based spell. This is another thing that most people should know about elemental affinities in most role-playing games. It plays a huge role in lots of battles. Understanding each enemy's weakness and their elemental affinities is key to winning any fight. Now if you notice, the previous battle before this was actually a back attack. You actually do more damage to the enemies. Now we're heading on back up. Now if you see Jesse here, the guy on the bottom of the screen, some people have told me before if you rescue her, or if you rescue Jesse here, that you will receive some extra item, but I really never found anything. I think it's just for the purpose of adding another dialogue scene. I mean, even if you don't rescue him, at the end you will see him running out of the Mako Reactor before it blows up. Now naturally, you know, if your HP becomes too low, you want to use a potion to restore some of your health points. In my case, I chose not to because I knew that I would make it before I had to use one. Even though it looks like I'm about to die. We're almost there. Go up the ladder, or I mean up the elevator. See, and you still have 5 minutes or 6 minutes to spare, and you're like almost at the end. Now this is what I was referring to before as a back attack. This is actually the opposite, called a preemptive strike, where your characters are facing the enemy's backside, which means you do more damage to them this time. In some games you're able to initiate this if you close in on an enemy from the back, but in Final Fantasy VII it's pretty much all random. And now we're out. The Mako Reactor then explodes, another CG cutscene, and that's pretty much the end of the video. In my next video, we are going to primarily focus on many of the gameplay elements of the game, and also your first actual NPC hub or town. And I hope you enjoyed this segment. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.